now I'm here.
Hoy vamos a
And
informarles
today we're going to inform
sobre
you regarding
el plan
the plan,
migratorio
the migration plan, or migratory,
correspondía
that relates to,
hacerlo ayer, pero también
well, it was supposed to be done yesterday, but we had a
hoy
lot
vamos
of
a
matters.
informarles de cómo se va trabajando
Today we're going to inform you how it's going
atender
to attend to
el tema
the matter,
migratorio, desde luego,
migration,
buscando dar una
while
solución
looking,
de fondo a que
while
tienen
trying to
las
give
causas.
in-depth
Pasado fin de semana,
assistance
nos
that
reunimos con el
attends to the
presidente de
causes.
Honduras.
And last week we met with the president of Honduras,
El plan de
and we are
cooperación
continuing the plan of cooperation of Mexico with the people of Central America in order to do everything that is possible
y dar oportunidades
and
de
give
trabajo
opportunities for work
a nuestros hermanos centroamericanos
to our Central American brothers
con el propósito
with
de
the
que
purpose of
no se aliente, que no se promueva
so that they don't
falta
move
de oportunidades o de inseguridad. La
for
migración
problems of security and fear,
principal.
this problem with
Ese es el
migration.
plan México.
So that is the plan Mexico
Él,
has
en realidad,
to confront the migration phenomena with development, with productive activities, work, so that the people have options and a possibility to work where they were born, where their family are, where their customs are, and their cultures are. So we have advanced, and today we are going to inform the people of Mexico as to how we're doing. We just need to keep in mind as the antecedents, these plans that we've been proposing quite some time, it was accelerated or rushed as of the threat of the imposition of tariffs. In a unilateral way, they wanted to impose tariffs to the merchandise that is produced in Mexico and is sold in the U.S. And so we came to an agreement, and there were some differences, but in the end, we did come to an agreement with the United States, and we are complying with this agreement. And we're evaluating permanently. We said at the time that we came to the agreement that that within 45 days we would recheck, and the 45 days have already passed, and the evaluation was good. So now we're going towards the 3 months that are going to be done in September. That's when the next evaluation will be. And to that end, it's been very important, this collaboration of the team that was integrated. And it is headed by, the team is headed by coordination of this team and everything related to foreign politics and exchange. So we are going to let Marcelo Ebrard talk now, so he can inform you if it is convenient that all the responsible people inform you. We decided it today, or that Marcelo can give the general information, And if you have any questions or doubts regarding anything in particular, then the responsible party can respond to those questions. So that's all. So Marcelo's going to start. With your permission, Mr. President, and everyone, today I'm going to inform you that the amount of migrants that are surging towards the Mexico and United States are decreasing. And by the month that's about to end, we estimate that we will have 8,700 that came to the, and in May it was 4,000, so now we're in 87,000. So it's a considerable reduction. I must inform you also that we initiated the actions that were offered. That's the only place in the world that is creating the most amount of jobs for the people that we are returning to their countries. In the case of El Salvador, we've made 90,000 employments in San Salvador. It's got to do with integral jobs creation. And the first one is Planting Life, which is part of the municipality. Stop it! No, Pico. The rural municipalities that was operated. No. Youth creating life, because in the case of El Salvador, it is a relevant that is in the influx, migration influx. When the youth, when we're talking about 6 or so, but there's also, it's also 16 and 17. So now it's in operation in El Salvador. And then afterward, I was in El Salvador. Stop it! Pico! No! Besides the national, in Honduras, 47% of the total of people that are migrating. No, Pico. It's the place that has the most migration, and it has been an act, and this is done for many reasons. Go, 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 this way, this way. Go, go, you go over there. No. No. So in Honduras, we're going to apply Planting Life due to Yucatan, and it was approved by all the political parties last year. We're also informing you that we are destining 60 million pesos for the migration department that has to do with hostels or places that they hold them. They're repairing them, and they've completed the station of El Cayican, and these are like places where they can hold them. That has to do with the migration situation. And we sustain now reunion number 12 that has to do with the migration and Mexican institutions for Guatemala and Honduras and Haiti. And we are now preparing the first international conference of donating countries that are in favor of the for the situation between Honduras, Guatemala, and Mexico and El Salvador. And it's going to be very integral to the strategic plan that Mexico has. And according to how we're advancing in the program with all three countries, we can then show the results for the strategies that we're implementing. This strategy means that you could and should take immediate actions when people that have more, for countries that have more resources to help people that are having serious issues, because if you take too long to work on helping other people, it may get out of control. So I must also say that today it was reported, the federal police, that there was a family that had been kidnapped by Hondureños from Mexico, and it was rescued by the authorities. And so this was a bad situation with a hostage situation, because we have so we're trying to protect these people, but so 3 young people and some adults, so they were released. So this is what makes the situation regarding support to the migration that are waiting to go to Mexico by the Secretary Duarte, that it's about to initiate the jobs in Ciudad Juarez, which will be that will be called Leono Vilcal, for the service of the people that are waiting to go to. There's 3,000 are already working in Mexico. They were offered jobs and took it. So that's the general report, and now we'll be here to answer your questions. To the left, his left.
Gracias, secretaria. Arturo Páramo, Grupo Imagen del Sitio. El sábado usted nos comentaba.
On Saturday, you commented in Minatitlan that Mexico was doing all these things that you described, that there were there are countries that are not doing anything. Have you been in contact with the U.S. immediately and with other, because they might be able to help, materials, anything to this effort that we're making, and that they have not made an effort? And will there be a time like for them to start to participate effectively with actions in this program? Yes, of course. On the 7th of June, we gave a statement in Washington. It said the U.S. and Mexico have committed themselves to take forth the efforts to help. So I told the Secretary of State when he came a few days ago, and we I think that is something that we can demand, since they committed. So we're going to be reviewing those numbers. So we're going to ask for the international and other places in the world to meet and discuss that program. And Mexico is already doing its part. A while ago, when the conference began, the meeting of security, there was some important data. Does it have to do with because there was interesting things that happened. Does it have to do with the migration? And also this with another question about a Honduran family, regarding the important Mexican part that's participating in these actions. This national plan that, well, the U.S. even mentioned that people were crossing that could not be welcome because they were violent
con delitos,
because they had crimes, etc.
existe un
Is
informe
there
oficial
some
de la
kind of
Guardia
formal
Nacional,
information
de
from
estas
the
cosas
National
para
Guard
mencionar?
besides these
Tengo otra
words that
pregunta,
you
pero
mentioned?
para ratito.
And then another question for later.
Bueno, te respondo esta y
I will
la
respond to
repito la
this.
vimos mañana pasado.
So,
Yo te diría con mucho gusto
I will tell
que
you that
desde luego que hay un reporte de la Guardia
there is
Nacional. La Guardia Nacional tiene
one
todos sus
a
organismos
report from the
desplegados.
National Guard.
Estamos moviendo frecuentemente
We are moving frequently
las tácticas que se
the
utilizan,
tactics that we
porque,
utilize,
pues, evidentemente estás ante
because
un flujo
evidently
importante.
there's a situation that's very important where there's a lot of activities. So the National Guard will handle that report. The National Institute of Immigration also. So what official report I've already told you. There's a reduction in the influx, and it's continuing to reduce. And the amount of jobs in Honduras are growing in El Salvador because of the impulse that we've given them. But we will let you know very soon. And so there's some interesting matters. But when they're ready, we'll let you know. There's a lot of data that we're going to be sharing with you, but once we have all the data.
Muy buenos días, conseguir Rafael Herrera, corresponsal sin censura con Vicente Serrano. ¿Cuántos repatriados o deportados
How many
se han apoyado con este
repatriated
nuevo plan, canciller?
or
Hace unos días nos comentaba aquí en
people
conferencia
have been helped by this program
que
because
primero los mexicanos
some president had said that they should help Mexican first so that the Mexicans could be supported first. How many jobs have we given in this case to the Mexicans that have been deported or repatriated or expatriated? According to the expatriated from the U.S., we're trying to have them send them to places that are closer to their places of origin by airplane. And they've been discussing that, and we're demanding on the part to facilitate the return of these people. This will permit us to initiate these things which you've already mentioned, the backing of the UNAMI and the jobs and the way we're doing it with the other 46 or 700. For every job that we've offered to any Central American, we've also offered 20 to the Mexican people. So that's a proportion. So we're at 20 to 1. Mexicans get the offers at 20 to 1. So hello. Yesterday, the president commented to the agency Bloomberg that 2017, by this time, do you feel that Trump has actually decreased his attack on the Mexicans regarding these, thing with the tariffs? Yes. We'll see what happens in the next few months, but yeah, I feel that.
Solo para la migración y las becas que se tienen. Para los migrantes sí va a haber becas del programa Benito Juárez. Esos son los apoyos que se van a tener, se está contemplando.
Buenos días, secretario. Les pido que se haga una portada, el secretario de Relaciones, Carlos Pozos, de la revista Petróleo y Energía. Yo quisiera, la pregunta es, satanizar la migración
To satanize immigration as a or amplify it is not what they want to do.
Son enrolados en el crimen organizado.
So what if they are they're criminals that are coming? Is there some kind of measuring or accountability as to how many of the ones that are coming that are looking for the dream have actually been the criminals of the country? And does the Immigration Institute, if it's already cleaned of corrupt officials because they were selling themselves and they were selling European women and so forth. Is it already cleaned of corruption? You asked two questions, so I'll answer one of those two. I'll answer the most important. I can't say we've finished, but we won't be giving you long in giving you the answers on those matters. What is the participation in Guatemala, Honduras, and El Salvador, and the intentions that Mexico has? It's very little bit, but it's a myth. The proportion of people that are migrants that were involved in active of crimes, proportionally it's very low. So I do not feel that it's a high number. I believe it's a small amount. But it is a method that's used to stigmatize and cause you to be in fear. But I will give you the actual amount number when we have our next meeting. And it will be up to the states to give us that actual information. And then we'll give it to you. To insist on this matter regarding the kidnappings, you've clarified that there is no migrants that are kidnapped in this country. And so you've said that it's hundreds. To ask you in this matter, have you talked to him about what is his response? The ambassador said that on Friday, just before the visit from the President of Honduras. I would say that Mexico is the only country at this time that is helping their country. There is no other program of jobs. Out of 20,000 jobs that were initiated, there is none. So the first thing is, I would rescue what we've expressed. We are not supporting just we are also trying to make sure to help the people in poverty in Honduras. On Saturday, and I clarified that the only report we have in Mexico is that there's a family, one family that were kidnapped. That's the ones I was referring to. And we at that time had not gotten their liberation. If you have any other cases, I don't have any other examples, so we can attend to it. So we can investigate it, so we can resolve it. And there, as far as I know, is no other case. So on the other hand, I would tell you, as I commented with all respect, that 47% of the people that are crossing to Mexico from Honduras, and what we're trying to do through legislation in Mexico is to return them to their country to prevent violations of their rights, because the more they are away from their country, the more risk there is that they will have their rights violated. And that is the ambassador from their country needs to identify their origin in order for them to be able to be sent back. Remember, most of these people have no identification. So at the embassy, and we've offered that, and we'll put offices here so that they can have the best services. We were always trying to do. So our position is untouchable, because they're trying to do for the other people what hasn't been done for Mexico. So today there was, in one event, in 1 year, they had generated 2,000, and in one day, Mexico gave them 20,000 jobs. And that's the new, and the only family that they know of was liberated. So, but if you have any other data, just let us know. The sooner the better. I would like to ask you regarding that in Oaxaca, they've approved that in a month, Oaxaca is to be an identity for migrants. That's a sanctuary. How are you going in the implementation of this decision that Oaxaca is taking? Are they not going to violate the rights of the immigrants in that entity? They've implemented a plan of jobs. Can you explain this plan? And what services of health are they giving to the migrants as well? Jobs, everything that is implicated by this plan. Look, human rights are not being violated because according to the Constitution of Mexico and the states of the General Republic have supported us in their fraternal because it's a conjunct act and it has to be done by all the people that are committed with the immigrants or migrants. And they've helped us very much. In Chiapas, Tabasco, the Secretary of Health is participating and the Institute of Social Security because we have to make sure that protect the state of health that are under responsibility that are in Mexico. What is our problem is uncertainty. Or the question that it preoccupies us very much is the people that we have not been able to check their conditions medical because we can't support them. And so that's what we're working together with a whole web that is in order to be able to help them. So they're participating in the health in order in an important way. And we asked them a protocol that has to do with the treatment, how are we going to do it, and especially those that are not accompanying, children. And of course, they're worried about them. There's an Indersol is the jobs, and also Bienestar Social, which is the health. He has in his charge the program Planting Life, and so we have this whole and in cover, like protective coat. This is ordered by the President of the Republic. So we have given many of consultations, medical consultations. As of today, our preoccupation regarding Endendo or any other type of phenomenon that we have that might affect public health, that we have to protect the migrants but also everyone else. So from the Institute of the Social Security of the Mexicans. And I must say that this reduction of 144,000 to 87,000 that I mentioned has happened with respecting of human rights. We have no hardly any complaints against the National Guard, and that was the most prioritized that the President gave us. And so all that it includes investments in the installations that we took over were in very bad conditions and care of the people. But that does not mean that everything is perfect. We still have a lot to do, but we're working on it so that every day it'll be better, so that every day we can better what we're doing relating to human rights, and also to show other people that are powerful countries, that if you made an investment in Honduras and Honduras, El Salvador, and Guatemala, the substantial situation could be changed substantially, but they would have to want to do it. So we're gonna invest $100 million, and if we're proportional to the U.S., U.S. should be given $2,000 million. So that would maybe create a lot of jobs. So we have to, that would be a number that would be incredible. Thank you. Here in the back. Thank you. It has been 45 days, not 75, since the implementation of this plan, and the U.S. still hasn't signed. Do you feel that? So, has the U.S. Have you discussed with the U.S. about signing? You know, that agreement. So we did make a public, on the 7th of July, they agreed publicly, and I could show you where he wrote, or where it's written that he agreed. And it is part of the statement. It's from the National Guard, and that we have migrations that are waiting for their audiences, and we've already done that. Number 4 is the plan of development in Central America, and now we just need Guatemala. And there it says, U.S. even put down, commits us to both parts, not just Mexico. In point number 4, that the U.S. also commits, along with Mexico, to apply the plan of integral development that's prepared by the CEPAL. So for us, that's a public commitment by the U.S., because that's how it was agreed on, and that's how it is written. And Mexico has done their part. And so we're also going to say to the U.S. that you have not complied with what you said you were going to do, because number 1 and 2 are for us, and number 4 is theirs.
Desde luego la verdad siguen votando literalmente migrantes regresados bajo el programa MPP, los suben en un camión, votan en Monterrey, o sea, sin más ni más. Como está construyendo un centro de atención extrajuárez, no es necesario, no sería necesario construirlo en toda la frontera donde están regresando migrantes. Y por otra parte,
saying, shouldn't you put this along the whole border where they're coming in? And what about the transports? Is there some kind of detail that you can tell us regarding these companies? If they've been camouflaging the vehicles in order to bring them in on the names of some companies? Yes, it is very important what you're mentioning. Regarding the advances and the investigations, but of course, and we have to do it respecting the times and the procedures that are established by the district attorney when it comes to public matters. But what we do know is that, of course, these trailers, it's sophisticated the way they organize it. They have different denominations. They do a camouflage. It's not like, it looks like they're selling beans. But inside, they maybe have 100 people or more that are conditions that are very risky. That's the worst thing that worries us. When they transport in that way, a lot of people could die, especially if they're older or younger. So today we're going to do, I can't do that today because that's not my area. But regarding the migrants that are waiting for Mexico, there's a web at the border that historically, from the local governments as well as from the civil area, which is very important. But the first thing that was done by the Secretary Duarte was to back the web and to create new facilities when we have the necessity to do so. So what we've seen in Tijuana is a decrease. And yeah, So,
muy importante.
okay, so it's a
Entonces,
tendency to the
no debe
decrease in
pensarse
Sonora.
que en todos los
So you
puntos de
should
la
not
ciudad
think
estamos
that in
teniendo que
every
recibir
area we're
más
having to
migrantes
receive
todos
more
los días.
migrants every
Están
day.
variando los números. Hay
It
lugares donde
varies,
están
the numbers vary. Some
bastante
are high, some are low. Today, Mr. Secretary, my question is, the government of President Trump signed an agreement from the third country with Guatemala. What is your position or the position of Mexico, and what would that mean to us and consequences?
Bueno, no conocemos el texto firmado
We
todavía.
don't know the final text yet. Officially,
Le pedimos a Guatemala que
we've
cuando lo tenga,
told Guatemala that when we have it, or when they take the decision
compartirlo. Sí conocemos
to
reacciones en medios, pero no me
put
gustaría
the
opinar
information
sobre
on the media.
decisiones que no son las
But
que
I
firmaron.
cannot discuss things that have not been signed on.
Más informada y más
And then
segura,
we
más
need to
clara
be more
sobre
informed,
esto.
more
Se trata
clear
ahora por lo
regarding
regular,
what
nosotros
it
no
means.
calificamos las decisiones que toman
And
otros
we don't
países,
qualify the
pero
decisions
conociendo
that
la versión
other
final
countries
que
make.
está firmada, pues ya podríamos dar una
But
opinión
that which has been
respetuosa
signed
respecto a Guatemala.
can be done in a respectful way.
Buenos días, Daniel Blancas de Crónica. A mí me gustaría hacerle, si es posible,
I would like to ask you a question regarding.
Bueno,
Okay, ask me the question. I'll see if I'll answer it.
sí está atento.
So you are paying attention.
La pregunta es,
The question is,
bueno, sabemos que
as we
entró
know,
a medio
you
camino
came
a la
in
institución,
and
pero sí me
halfway.
gustaría conocer,
I would like to
al
know.
menos, tenemos poco tiempo en la conferencia,
We
pero al
have very
menos
little
cuál es el
time.
diagnóstico que
What is
tiene
the
de su
diagnosis
equipo de
you have
trabajo.
of
¿Cuántos
your
agentes de
jobs?
migración
How many
están
agents of
actualmente
immigration
operando?
are actually
¿Cuántos son
operating?
nuevos? Es decir,
How
¿cuántos
many are
fueron
new?
dados de baja?
Or
Y
how
si hay
many were
denuncias
removed? And
presentadas
if there's
contra
any
algunos de los
present
elementos, algunos de los agentes,
complaints against
por
or claims
corruptelas o
against
por anomalías que hayan
the
cometido o que
agents
hayan
that
cometido
might be
durante
doing
su gestión. Por favor.
corrupt acts during their term.
Complemento la información del canciller en relación a
I compliment the information regarding the concierge that there is some secret and there is some complaints, but these have not been concluded. But there is some investigations related to
menos de 500.
less than 500, but more than 400.
400 y 500 denuncias.
Yeah.
Y luego el instituto pues es una carrera
Well, the
profesional.
institute is
Hay que respetar a los trabajadores que lo
a
están
professional
haciendo bien,
institute,
que han
and we have
sumado
to
al proyecto
respect
a
the people that are
transformación.
doing
Y, bueno,
well,
pues,
and
castigar a los malos elementos
and
que
then we also have to
finalmente puede
castigate
haber,
the ones that are
y
bad
que
elements,
tenemos que seguir combatiendo
and we
porque
have to
es una de
continue
las
combating
ejes
because it's one of the fundamental
se tendría que
areas,
estabilizar el
and we need to
instituto
stabilize the
con
institute
transparencia,
against
reconocimiento
appearance and
a la carrera profesional,
knowledge, and to let them know it's a career,
malos
and to
¿Cuántos elementos hay actualmente? ¿Cuántos agentes
Hay
hay?
5.400 empleados en el Instituto Nacional de Migración.
castigate the ones.
1.500
There's 1,500 agents
federales de
that are
migración,
federal,
y se han sumado de
and we've
algunas otras
got
áreas para
from other areas
reforzar esta-
to reinforce
estas
this
tareas del control
jobs of the
seguro
control
ordenado
of the security
en la frontera.
in the
¿Cuántos son
borders.
nuevos elementos en esta, digamos,
No ha
nueva era?
habido, hubo una convocatoria.
There was
y
only
esa
one,
convocatoria son 80 los que se han dado de
and
de
there's
alta,
been
sí,
80 that
la
have been
convocatoria
removed.
de que sea pública,
And so
transparente,
and
y que
so
vayan
it'll be
incorporándose,
transparent, and it will be incorporated.
aspirantes que así lo
The ones that
necesiten, y
aspire,
pasar las pruebas.
and if they pass their
Muchas gracias.
tests, they
Tenemos
can
poco
get in.
tiempo. Otra oportunidad habrá.
Gracias. Dos más. Quisiera saber sobre el programa.
I would like to know regarding the program, Young People Creating Life or the Future. If they're going to apply, are you going to export the model and they're going to do it, or are we going to go from the Mexican authorities and the Mexican companies?
Vamos a trabajar
We are going to work
con las reglas de operación,
according to the rules of operation and the conduct of the Mexican
no hacemos
acting in development. We will not be transferring to the government. We're going to be giving it directly to the beneficiaries, like we do in Mexico. The embassy in Mexico has the responsibility to coordinate the jobs for this. That has never been done for those 20,000 in another country. It's the first time that Mexico does this. But we are doing it with enthusiasm and with happiness because we know it will have an impact on those frontiers. Mexico has done a diagnostic as to there was 90 investigators involved from very diverse institutions in order to determine where the migrants were coming from that were coming through Mexico and what their gender, what is their profile, and many of their aspirations. So the base of our job is the diagnostic that takes us to specific municipalities and Honduras, for example. The number one is Uzbekistan. So there's I don't know, he said the names. So you go to those rural zones, and then and they do coffee, and they have the problem with the lowering of prices of coffee, and what is happening in Mexico is also happening in Central America. So we're going to execute it daily with the development of development plan, and they will be the benefits will be directly to the beneficiaries, just like we do in Mexico, and it will happen in Honduras and El Salvador as well. The same model, same as we have here. Same thing. You said that the U.S. committed an agreement, but they're not complying. No. We know that they said that they were in favor of the plan, and we're doing a international conference. And I told them that they invited the U.S. And what we want is that we need to comply. Point number 4 of the statement of the 7th of June. So Mexico is the first one has done it, but there's been very little time. But maybe they're very surprised that in Mexico, in such a short time, has already applied the action, because we want to show that this is important and urgent to support Mexico. But it also is urgent that they start giving support in those countries. Oh, but I thought you said that they need to be voluntary. So is it just that you're, like, are they going to be just happy with the lower the number for immigrants for them? So we're trying to persuade in diplomacy, and it serves basically to promote your legitimate thoughts or questions and to persuade. And so we understand that we have different visions, but we can persuade or advance in a direction. And that's what politics and diplomacy is for. And I believe that it's a great advance that they have assumed that compromise or commitment. Even so, a while ago, OPEC director, well, one of those high directors, to announce and sign the first letters of intention in the south of Mexico, which is a total of $800 million. So then we're advancing. And it's not simple, because we have to go to different areas, but they've assumed that commitment. And Mexico is putting that and we will have 60,000 jobs in total. And that gives us political authority to be able to. It's not just an idea, it's something that we can prove that it can be done. So what about the opposition in Mexico? Because they said it's incongruent. because we're adjusting here and we have shortages. Is this incongruent? I'm surprised that you would, a while back, I had a long meeting with the commission that was formed, that we proposed with them that we would have a Senate and deputies to bring forth unity of unity of our country. But if we're not agreeing in all the areas of politics, that was done by the instructions of the president. We have the majority, and we have the confidence of the people. But we want all of the political areas to participate when it has to do with the important negotiations right now that are with the U.S. So what I consider is the differences from the deputies. Well, now that the transparency situation, they were in Minatitlán, and all the actions that we're implementing, Honduras and El Salvador and Guatemala are going to be happening. They have expressed consensus from the Republicans in the Union. There has no person has told me that they're against this in the meeting. But of course, it's logical. There is no political force in Yucatan denied the fund, and we did put that fund for that particular situation of helping Central America. So we have precisely that we have an agreement and consensus. Of course, there's lots of controversies, but that are political, but we need to defend the necessities of the country. And that implies two things. First, we need to share this information and be very transparent in everything that we do. And we have been so in all our interactions and exchanges. And it is a bit unusual, but that's good because it's important to support. And the second thing is that we're all in agreement that there's two parameters. Mexico will not accept to be a third country, and no political forces against that. And the next point of reference is the solution of migratory matter is to offer alternatives and opportunities to those people that are in these conditions. So these are the two elements that determine that we are acting with a consensus that's ample and that we have a diplomacy. And that's what we're going to maintain in the next few weeks. And all these things I've given you understanding on have not just been in the events, but in details, and including, they proposed to us that we make a session in order to discuss which can be the future of the models that we are showing them, or the idea regarding, Mexican idea regarding migration. So there was another report that in the migration situation in the U.S., they killed another Mexican. So what about these cases of that they are not attended right in the U.S. and they're in detention? And what are we going to do about that? Yes, this one of the most important consulate thing matters, and we are aware, and we have been going to the consulate. In 80% of the cases were present, and of course now we need to ask for more support from the consulates in order to respond to the needs of our nationals that are in the U.S. And we are in a state of alert, and I've ordered that they review all the cases of the detainees that you've asked before. And that's how it has been done, and we have classified them. So what I want to say is that every time we're going to do more, and we're going to be closer. and there will be more possibilities because that's our first obligation. It is a priority that's national, and of course it's on our part that it be done so. And I would say that the consulates are doing a job in the representing of the Mexicans that have asked for asylum in the U.S. But that does not mean that we will not continue or make it better, improve it, amplify it. And that, of course, we've committed ourselves to every day to prevent these things which you're commenting on. You've explained that it's been $100 million for the 3 countries in Central America, and it's 30 million for each, and 10 for who? The execution, right? My question is, there's $100 million of dollars every year? Will it be all 6 years that they're going to be giving $100 million? Well, there may be variations in that number because we have to ask the permission from the Congress every year. But so we've saved some for next year. So we're just using half the fund, and we have reserves for the 2020. As we were asked to. So again, we would have to check on that. But I suppose that the Congress will support us in order to continue on that and that it'll probably be all the 6 years.
Señor Presidente, señor Canciller, Jaime Hernández de Bajo Palabra. La Guardia Nacional
the National Guard seems to not be stopping the that they're not staying in the bounds of the National Guard. Something about them not following the rules or something. No. No, this is not the case. And let's look at this. The National Guard has not committed any act that has been conducted that has to do with human rights. We haven't got a single complaint. And I will look at the President tomorrow regarding that. But so yes, there's complaints, but it does not have to do with human rights. Who has to take this direct action when you have to talk to a migrant regarding his documents in the situation of migration? What does the National Guard do? They have to back the UNAMI. But if there's a flagrant crime, but if it's not like that, UNAMI takes care of it. So we understood about that question because through the social webs, but it's not the politics of the Mexican government to do that.
Para insistir sobre este tema del traslado que se está haciendo de migrantes que son regresados a México y que los suben en autobuses, por ejemplo, en lugares como Nuevo Laredo, los trasladan a Monterrey con el argumento de que hay inseguridad en la zona de Tamaulipas, y llegando, por ejemplo, a Monterrey, los sueltan y prácticamente los botan porque no son instalados en ningún albergue y están abandonados a su suerte en las calles. ¿Qué ocurre con este caso?
What about these people that are being the U.S.
Eso lo hace la autoridad mexicana en Estados Unidos. Nosotros jamás aceptaríamos que Estados Unidos haga eso en nuestro territorio, para precisar, aclarar. El INAMI sí lo hace, sí los mueve, porque en el Tamaulipas
INAMI moves the people. So they're talking about people that were sent back from the U.S. They just they said that they put them out in the street, and they said we can't put them all in places. There's Cubans that are in hotels. There's some that already rented a home. But we do not pretend that there'll be 100% of the migrants will be going into like hostels.
Pero ¿a quién
But
estás ofreciendo albergue?
who are you supporting the
Típicamente, por ejemplo, a familias.
places for them to stay, a refuge or
Yo
hostel?
diría que más de la mitad
I would
no
say
te
that
lo
half
solicitan.
don't even
No
ask for it.
quieren estar
They don't want to stay in
albergues.
a
Lo que
refuge.
sí les importa mucho
But
es que
what
haya
they
posibilidades
care
de trabajo.
about is that they
Por
get
eso,
jobs.
por eso nos informó de una manera, son
And that's why they've
4,700
informed us that there's 4,700. And last time it was 370, so it's grown a lot, more than 10 times. And so we will continue to offer them jobs. The number of people that are returning in Tamaulipas is higher because they go to Tamaulipas. But if you go to Tijuana, it's like not even 30 a day. So what number do we want to get to? So that so they've already gone there and now they're waiting here for an audience. We give them support, but you shouldn't be thinking that we don't believe that they're on the streets massively. But I can revise that, but it cannot be because they do offer refuges and we aren't throwing people in the street. It's no, that's not what we do because we offer them the places and then they turn them down. So back here.
Gracias, canciller. Nancy Rodríguez de Oro Sólido. Canciller, seguramente usted junto con el presidente han analizado profundamente que en estos países, al igual que en México, el cáncer ha sido la corrupción.
So, as you understand, in these countries, they're worse than us. They have oligarchy and families like no more than 20 or 10 in El Salvador and Guatemala and Honduras. But they've got corruption. And can you intervene, like here in Mexico, regarding their politics, anti-corruption or austerity? What plan do they have in this sense? What have you dialogued or analyzed in relation to this matter, which is the base? Yes, I would say that in Mexico, the cooperation of the Mexicans that is now converted us in the country with the most cooperation in when it has to do with matters than in those three countries, in Salvador and Guatemala, Honduras. We come from a base of our constitutional, and the first one is no intervention. So we're not going to tell El Salvador and Honduras and Guatemala how they need to organize themselves or how they should do their government or what they should change. Because the day we do that, then we would be the same as other countries. That's what they've devoted themselves to do. Mexico will not do that, because that's a provision of the Constitution. It is not optional. We have our opinions, but we are not, nor do we pretend to be or intervening in other countries. So how are we going to guarantee transparency of the money we're giving them? So how we're going to do it is we're going to be the resources that are going to be handled by the Congress Union, and we are, and they have to be audited, but they're resources of the Mexican people. So we are going to make sure that they get exactly to the final person to whom they were planned to. So our obligation is that the resource that we give, they need to be given directly to the person. We're not going to give a check to the government in order for them to give it out to people. No. We're going to give the money directly to each person. And they are conscious of that, these countries and the governments, that this is the rules that Mexicans have. And next year we're going to have a meeting with them. And we all know that, especially the Mexican Agency of Development. So we're going to be very careful with the resources to make sure, to guarantee that they get to the person they're destined for
diseñados
and
o
designed for
propuestos o asignados.
or assigned to.
Última pregunta.
Last question.
Buenos días, canciller. Bien, ahorita de diario 24 horas. Preguntarle si Estados Unidos le ha informado de
Has
cuántas
the U.S.
solicitudes de
informed
asilo
you
ya se
as
han
to how
resuelto
many
para los migrantes que están esperando en México?
people that are waiting for asylum, how many they resolved, and how many are they planning to? The report I have right now, and not officially, but is that they've sought results about that it's about 40%. But I will get it in writing so I can let you guys know. But generally, they said it's about 40%.
Esperaría que se hubieran resuelto estas solicitudes de asilo ya cuando se cumplan estos 90 días
So it's whatever portion, whatever the 40% is, whatever they said they have. That's one of the points, that they have to present what they did on the 6th of September. Thank you very much. Okay, so this has been a lot of information, very ample, and lots of good questions, and well answered. If you don't mind, we'll have 5 general questions, and then we'll conclude the conference as of today. I only want to inform you that Jesus will let you know regarding the plan from the department of where I'm living, in the palace, National Palace. There's a copy. Let's see, why don't you put it up now? I guess it's a copy of the floor plan. And with that, we'll end the conference. 5 questions. Let's see. From those that have not asked any questions. You mind?
Vamos, ya está. Pero sí, los 4 restantes nuevos. Va.
Presidente, es un tema que se trató hace algunos días.
It's a matter that was dealt with, that is an interesting matter, that was brought to light by Alvera. It's that there's groups and parties, PRD, the media of communication and owners, that are trying to plan a state attack against the state. And they say the matter is very understanding. These things are realized by the military, not civil society. And there's a lot of people that are worried regarding that matter in the social web, principally. My question is, you already gave your opinion. Do you have some commentary regarding from the Secretary of Defense and the Marine or Federal Security regarding this rumor that they say there's going to be? Or do you, if you would have them to let the people know so that the people can be comfortable? No, on the contrary, stay tranquil. We are doing well, and things are going well. I said it in an interview yesterday to an agency that specializes in economy, the agency called Bloomberg. We're doing very well, and the people is very happy, or are very happy with the change, and there's happiness in our country. I cannot repeat here what they expressed to me, but even in the social webs, there's an author that is good, not because he's sympathetic, but because he is a good actor, really. He just expressed and declared that he can't, is so happy that he voted for the transformation. So the people are very happy with the change. And there's some that are confused and confounded, kind of out of sorts. But they'll get serene. The truth, there is no there doesn't seem to be any evidence of instability, political. The opposition acts responsibly. They aren't going past the questioning, but that's substantial with and substantiated by democracy, that you have critiques and that they question you and the government, but it hasn't happened in major areas. Yes, there's a situation of happiness in our country. Remember when we used to talk about the bad mood? That there was a lot of a social bad mood. That was an expression sort of like that. Not now. The people are very happy. And I can verify it when I go on my travels. Not only do I go to all these meetings that are organized to do evaluations of the government, and I stand and I talk in the places and to the bathrooms and the gas stations. I go through all the towns. They say hello. They seem happy that I'm going through the country. Very few expressions, or maybe I would say nothing of any people pushing away or angry. But there is, of course there's an opposition, but not irresponsibly. Of course, conservatism still exists, and we've always said it did. And historically, it has existed, this type of thinking, just like the liberal thinking. And there's opposition. But this is, it doesn't go to major situations. And also inconformities and protests, because this is changes that are happening. It's not a small thing. It even squeaks a little. There should be more protests, because they were dismantling a corrupt regimen. They're dismantling it. A corrupt regimen, from the top to the bottom. So therefore, there's no major problems. It's not just the interests that were created, or those that were benefiting with the government, doing juicy deals with the money of the people. It's also the thinking. Imagine what it was with the indoctrination of 36 years of neoliberal politics. To say it, no, I'm not going to say it. I was going to say colloquially, but I'm not going to say it. But there was an influence psychologically. Because there was so many years of formation in a doctrine. It's like when the Soviet Union fell, a regiment fell. Imagine the ones that had formed it. In that thinking, it was very strong. And the readaptation, it's the same thing. An economist, yesterday I told him in the interview to the director of Bloomberg something that I believe. That during very much time, economy was elevated to supreme rankings, and everything was subordinate to it. And I didn't believe in that, including that was part of the problem. It's very important, the attention to public subjects, and to give that to them, to give them to the economists. It's like asking them, a military person, to give you peace in the country. It's not possible. So therefore, now it's different. Of course, we need the economists, and we need the military people. However, it needs to be coordinated with politics, with your efforts. I'm not talking about politicking, the noble office of politics. So therefore, these are the changes that have been happening, and for that reason, sometimes there is that they don't understand the things. In case of austerity, imagine if they were accustomed to have salaries that were very elevated, and now, and they used to have bodyguards and lots of people doing their bidding, people, yes men, people doing everything they wanted, and now they are, the president used to say, what time is it? Whatever time you want it to be, sir. So, but that has all changed. It has ended. It's finished. But even with the changes, as of now, yes, there are protests. Why are we helping the Central Americans? That has a lot to do with conservatism, and not just in Mexico, but in the world. And it takes its root and becomes strong, and it takes strength to hold on to those flags of xenophobia. And the conservatism has advanced a lot, and that's why
por tomar esas banderas.
because they took those
No
flags.
vamos
So we are not
a
going to
permitir.
permit this.
Sí, eso
That
no tiene que ver
has
con nuestra
nothing to do
idiosincrasia.
with our
Recuerdo que
idiosyncrasies.
siempre ha sido un
The
pueblo
people of Mexico
muy solidario.
has always had very much solidarity, and it's fraternal.
Que dicen, a ver,
They say,
este,
well, let's
¿cuánto
see,
están
how much are you
entregando
giving them
a
to
los
the
hondureños,
Hondurans,
salvadoreños?
Salvadorians?
Voy a dar un dato.
Let's see, I'll give you some data.
Hablamos de Honduras,
From Honduras,
de 20,000
like say 20,000 jobs
en jóvenes construyendo el
in
futuro.
youth constructing the
Es lo
future,
que informó aquí
which was informed here
Marcelo.
by Marcelo.
¿Saben cuántos
Do you know
jóvenes
how many young people
están trabajando en México
are working in
el
Mexico
programa
in the
Jóvenes
program
Construyendo el Futuro?
Youth
Hoy,
Creating Life today?
900,000.
900,000.
¿Qué dicen los conservadores?
What do the conservatives say
Los que están a favor de
The-
la xenofobia.
that are in favor of xenophobia?
¿Por qué?
Why
Honduras.
do you give
¿Y por
Honduras?
qué? No a México.
Why not Mexico?
900,000
If we have 900,000,
jóvenes. Lo puedo
Youth.
probar.
and I can prove it,
Están trabajando
they are working now
como aprendices.
as
en México.
apprentices in Mexico.
¿Qué no podemos apoyar
Can we
20,000
not support with
Honduras?
20,000 Honduras?
El otro programa,
And the other program,
Sembrando Vida.
Planting Life.
¿Cuántos compromisos hay en cuanto a Sembrando Vida?
How many commitments do we have in Sembrando Vida?
Salvador, 20,000.
For El Salvador, we have
Y
20,000 is
Están
commitment. And
trabajando
here we have
Sembrando
working,
Vida.
Planting Life
en México
in Mexico,
226,000.
226,000
226,000
are
Hoy.
working now,
y 20,000
and 20,000
Sembrando Vida en El Salvador.
are Planting Life in El Salvador.
O sea, no somos
So it's not just
candil de la calle.
that we're
en la
just
casa.
putting candles out in the street and having it dark in our home.
Partidarios
We are
de la
partisans
fraternidad
of fraternity,
universal,
of universal fraternity,
de la justicia
of
sin fronteras,
justice without frontiers or borders,
del humanismo.
of humanism.
Yo celebro
So I
que
celebrate
estemos llevando a cabo
that we are taking
este
forth
plan
this plan
y que estemos protegiendo
and
a
that
los
we are
migrantes,
protecting the migrants.
que afortunadamente
That
no
fortunately-
hemos tenido desgracias
And that have
que
had
lamentar.
terrible things happen to them, that they're
No hablemos de
let's
represión,
not talk about repression
de volcaduras,
and even
de asfixias,
asphyxiations in the buses,
de epidemias,
epidemics,
y
and
pérdida de vidas
loss of
de
life
menores.
of minors.
Esa es mi preocupación.
That's my preoccupation.
estamos.
That's what we're dealing with,
Protegiendo.
and that's what we're
Ayer también lo
protecting.
decía en la entrevista,
And yesterday I was saying in an interview with Bloomberg
es mejor para
that it is
nosotros,
better for us
por el cuidado a los migrantes,
to take care of the migrants,
proteger el
to
sur,
protect the south
sureste,
and the southeast,
que
than to
pasen
uh,
al norte
than for them to have them come north
por los riesgos,
because of the risks,
por lo que aquí se
because
mencionaba.
as what they were mentioning here before, these groups,
Entonces los estamos
like,
cuidando, son nuestros hermanos.
gangs, and we're taking care of them because they're our brothers.
Tenemos que cumplir con nuestras
But of
leyes,
course, we have to comply with our
tiene que haber
laws.
orden,
There has to be order,
la democracia es
and democracy is order,
democrático,
or democratic order,
y
and
seguir convenciendo y
continue to
persuadiendo
convince and
de
persuade
que lo mejor es la
that
justicia,
the
la
better
paz,
thing is justice and peace,
es fruto de la
that it
justicia.
is the fruit of justice.
Entonces,
So therefore,
vamos a continuar.
we're going to continue this way. Thank you,
libertad,
President.
reportera Animal Político. Dado que la estafa maestra documentó un sistema de corrupción y no solamente un caso, no solamente está implicada Rosario Robles, sino también
So regarding
el gobernador del
education
Estado de México, por
in
ejemplo,
the state
Alfredo
of
del Mazo,
Mexico,
Emilio Lozoya,
Emilio Lozoya,
Gerardo Luis Esparza.
Esparza,
Y en total fueron 11
there was
titulares de
11
diferentes
people
dependencias y
in different
organismos
areas and
implicados,
organisms that were
insisto, en un
implicated
sistema
in a
de
system of
que
corruption
desvió
that
más de 600
deviated
mil millones de
more
pesos
than
de recursos públicos.
500,000
La
million
pregunta, presidente, es,
from the people.
¿usted
Are you
instruirá
going to
a
institute
organismos
organisms
como el
like
SAT
SAT
o la Unidad de Inteligencia Financiera
or
para que
in
justamente
financial
investiguen
intelligence
cómo
so
fue
they
este
can
flujo de
investigate
dinero?
how they
Porque
had
esas
this
entidades pueden determinar perfectamente
influx of
en
money,
qué cuentas bancarias
where the
terminan
money
esos
went to,
recursos
where did these
desviados a través de
monies,
esas cuentas.
funds that were diverted, where did they wind up?
Puntualmente, tres cosas.
Punctually, three things.
Uno,
One,
cero corrupción.
zero corruption.
Y agrego,
And I add,
cero impunidad.
zero impunity.
Dos,
Number two,
no solapar
not to cover up
actos de corrupción.
acts of corruption.
No somos tapadera.
We are not uncovering anybody.
Tres, se está
Three, we are
apoyando a la
supporting
Fiscalía General.
the district
En
attorney
todo
in every way,
lo que no
or attorney
solicita.
general, in everything
Porque la
that it has
Fiscalía
been
tiene
solicited,
abierta
because
investigaciones
they have many
y
open
casos.
investigations, like even in this
Y
case.
Todos
And
los informes
all the information
que tienen que ver
that have to do
con datos
with data
de inteligencia
of
financiera,
financial intelligence,
hay la instrucción precisa
there's a precise instruction
de que se entregue
that they
toda.
turn over every piece of information,
Y la Fiscalía
and
va
that this
a resolver.
a district attorney or
No,
attorney general
hay
will resolve it.
impunidad
There is no immunity
para nadie.
for no one.
Entonces hay que esperar nada
So
más
now we just have to wait
que concluyan
that they conclude
las, investigaciones
the
y los
investigations and the processes, legal
Solo
ones.
que en este caso, presidente, solamente existen denuncias
But there was
específicamente en contra de la Sedesol y la SEDAR, que justamente encabezaba Rosario Robles. La pregunta es si su gobierno también
So,
investigará
have
al
you-
resto de
Are
implicados
you
en
going
este
to
sistema de
investigate the
corrupción,
rest of the
porque en
people that
esos
are
casos no hay
implicated
denuncia,
in
tendría
the
que interponer.
cases,
La
the
Procuraduría,
people who have been, they've got
Está-
claims?
en
Yes,
este caso la Fiscalía,
the fiscal or
Está haciendo
attorney general is
investigación.
doing the investigations,
amplia,
and it's ample,
sin limitaciones.
without limitations.
Tengo la información
I have the
de que
information
se
that
retomó
they took
esta investigación
this
y se amplió.
investigation and they
¿Qué es lo
amplified
que
it,
está haciendo la Fiscalía?
which is what the district attorney or
No sé
attorney general is
exactamente,
doing.
pero
I'm not sure exactly the
como
details,
se dice
but as they
en
say,
estos casos,
in these cases,
lo que resulte
whatever it results
de la investigación,
from the investigation,
sin límites,
without limits,
todos los que puedan estar implicados.
anyone that
Se
can be
llama
implicated, they go and they
Ese es el
declare,
procedimiento,
and they go through the
Y-
process,
de esa forma
and in that way,
van saliendo
they can come out.
hipótesis y se
Hypothesis,
siguen
and they
las
continue with the investigation,
para que
so that
haya justicia
there be justice,
y se tome en cuenta todos los
and they take into
implicados.
account all the ones that were implicated.
Pero eso corresponde
But that belongs
a la
to the
fiscalía. Y nosotros
Attorney
aportar
General, and for
toda la
us
información
to give
que
them all
ellos
the information
soliciten.
that they solicit from us.
Dos, vamos todos al
So I think he's gonna put something up.
apartamento.
That's his apartment.
Ya estaba
So they're gonna show the,
construido.
I guess the floor plan of the apartment. There it is. It was already
600
constructed.
metros,
There's about 300
¿Cuánto?
square meters.
sí.
Yeah, see it?
Lo rojo
The red part,
son dos habitaciones
there's
y un
two
estudio.
habitations and a studio
Y
in the road zones.
lo que está en azul,
The what is in blue
claro, es cocina,
is the kitchen
sala y comedor.
and dining room.
La ubicación es así.
The situation where it's situated is,
Se las encargo a ustedes.
I'll let
Que
you
son
figure it
muy
out
profesionales.
because you guys are great professionals.
No hay me ayuda mucho
It helps me a lot
estar aquí
being here
porque
because
me ahorra
it saves me
como
approximately
2 horas
2 hours
diarias.
daily.
No tiene nada que ver
It has nothing to
con
do
la
with
parte histórica.
that's historical.
Este sitio ya
This
estaba
area was already
ocupado,
occupied,
impactado,
impacted.
ya con una construcción
It already had a
vamos a decir,
construction
moderna
with modern
dentro del
construction
palacio.
inside the palace.
No está junto
It is not
los salones.
within or next to the salons.
todos los salones del palacio,
All the palace
Los,
salons in the palace
corredores,
and the corridors,
desde luego
of course,
los sitios
the areas
históricos
that are
se
historical
conservan,
are conserved.
no se van a utilizar
I will not be utilizing them
en lo cotidiano, en el trabajo
in my job
diario,
daily.
junto
And along with this,
a
Or-
este departamento
or next to this apartment,
estaba el Estado Mayor
was the major state.
presidencial. Y también ya era
And
una
now
zona
it was a zone
impactada.
that was already impacted and modernized.
Entonces,
So
ahí
therefore,
vamos
this is where we're going
a
to
atender
attend
en lo que era
what used to be
la
the
oficina del Estado
office
Mayor
of this major state
para
in order to
no
not
utilizar
utilize
el comedor grande.
the great
A veces,
dining
salen
area.
fotos
Sometimes there's
en donde hacemos
photos
reuniones
where we do meetings
en el comedor
in the long dining table,
principal
the
del
principal
palacio.
one of the palace.
Entonces ya no se va
So, but we
a
are
usar
no longer going to use that
solo para ceremonias
unless there's a ceremony or
de trascendencia
of transcendence
cultural,
or
diplomática,
cultural, diplomatic,
y
and
se va a despachar
we're going to
en lo que era el estado
stay in where
presidencial.
we'll be meeting people where the presidential state was, and that's the area we're going to use. And we're going to be careful
En
to
los salones
that in the salons
se cuide
they
el piso,
be careful with the floor, kind of like we did here.
no de esta manera.
Not like this, but
Aquí
here we,
porque
because
tenemos que cuidar
we have to be
el
cautious
piso.
to protect the
Allá
floor. And there,
estamos buscando la forma
we're
de
looking
que
for a
en los
way to,
salones
that in the
haya
salons there be
como una alfombra,
like
pero,
some kind of a carpet
angosta,
that's narrow
para que se puedan
so that
apreciar
they can appreciate
también
and
los pisos,
so they can take care of the
caminando
feet,
en
but,
medio,
but that you
por
walk
esa
through the
alfombra.
middle in this carpet.
Cuidar
And to protect
este palacio
this palace
que es de todos los mexicanos,
that belongs to all the
y es
Mexican people
nuestra historia,
and is our history
Este palacio tiene
because this palace
pues 500 años
is 500 years old.
y si tomamos en cuenta que
And
se
if we take
construyó
into account that it was
encima
constructed on
de
top of
las pirámides,
the
de
pyramids
los centros ceremoniales
of the ceremonial centers
eh, Tenochtitlan,
of Tenochtitlan,
pues tiene todavía
it still has
mucho más.
more,
Y es
even
la
more
historia.
value. And it's history. It's the history of our country.
Desde la colonia,
It's from the colony
el siglo XIX
of the 19th century
y el siglo XX
and
estaba
in the 20th century,
no ocupado,
and it was not occupied.
prácticamente no se
Pra-
despachaba aquí,
Practically, they didn't meet
todo
here.
era en Los Pinos,
Everything was in Los Pinos.
ahora pues
But now,
aquí se atiende.
we're going to attend them here, and we attend people here
Muy bien.
very well.
Gracias, señor. Buen día, Alejandro Lelo del Grupo Cantón. Preguntarle sobre la ley
So
que
I
se
want to
acaba
ask
de
you
aprobar ayer
regarding
en
the law
Tabasco.
in
Hay
Tabasco.
dos versiones, dos
There's
versiones
two
sobre esta ley.
versions
Una que
regarding this law.
termina con los chantajes
What
que ha habido
that ends with the
durante muchos
blackmail
años a
that's been
empresarios,
happening
al
many
mismo
years
gobierno, a la CFE,
with
a
the
Pemex, para no dejarla
company, the
trabajar para que no haya ahorros.
Pemex not allowing
Por
it
otro
to
lado,
work.
también hay quienes la ven como la ley
And
Garrote,
some people see it as
que
the
van a
law
impedir
of the
manifestaciones y demás.
carrying a
Por
big
ejemplo,
stick.
la
For
extorsión a
example,
empresas
they
aumenta la pena de 10 a 20 años de
extort.
prisión. Ese es el rango de la
Extortion
pena.
is
Impedir por
10 to
parte de la
20,000.
ejecución de trabajos u obras privadas o públicas de 6 a 13 años de prisión.
Also, they're trying to decide
Impedir
how
el
much
acceso
jail
marginal
they
es
should
para
be
la
getting if
ejecución
they
de
do
obras
any
de 6 a
illegal
13
acts.
años de prisión.
3 to
Y el
6
cierre
years.
de calles, carreteras y
If they
avenidas,
close
pena de 5 años
roads, they
de
should
prisión.
get
¿Cuál
a
es su postura
minimum of
al
5
respecto, ya
years.
que se aprobó?
So what have you done anything about that that's been approved regarding this and the
Se estaba
judgments?
abusando,
I think it was being
habían
abused.
extorsiones,
There was extortions,
corrupción
corruption,
y era necesario poner orden.
and it was necessary to put order in
Creo
place.
que
And I believe
ese fue el motivo
that was the motive, principal
de esta
motive
nueva
for
legislación.
this new
Desde luego,
legislation.
hay que
And of course,
proteger
we need to
los
protect
derechos de los
the
ciudadanos.
rights of the
No puede
humans.
afectarse
Uh,
el derecho
we cannot affect the rights of dissent
a la
and
manifestación,
manifestation and liberty
en general.
in general.
Hay que ver eso.
We need to keep that in mind.
Yo tengo el
But I
informe
have the
de
information that
que no se afecta
it does not affect
derechos humanos
human rights,
y no se limitan
and they do
las
not limit
libertades
liberties
de los
of
ciudadanos. Ese es el
citizens.
informe
That's the
que tengo.
information I have.
Y
And
sí es
yes,
necesario
it is necessary
que se acabe con la
to
extorsión
end with this extortion
y que no se permita la corrupción,
and not permit corruption,
porque
because
¿qué puede pasar
what could happen
en el mediano plazo?
in the median
De
time?
que limpiemos arriba,
That we clean the top,
yo estoy hablando aquí,
and I'd be talking here, and I've said it before, and I'll repeat it today,
de que no hay corrupción tolerada.
that there is no corruption
Y,
tolerated.
Digo un empresario, un comerciante,
And I say to a businessman,
ese presidente
hey, he said to me, hey, Mr. President, is in the moon.
está en otro planeta,
He's on another planet,
porque
because he
a mí me extorsiona.
he
Yo
attempted to
sigo
bribe me,
padeciendo
and I continue to
de la
have
corrupción.
that problem with corruption.
Es acabar con la corrupción,
If it means you have to start with the ending corruption at the
para
top,
dar el ejemplo.
to give an
Estoy
example,
convencido
because I am
de
convinced
que la corrupción
that corruption
se extendió
was extended
de arriba hacia abajo.
from top to the bottom. So he was given an example of what somebody might say, not that he did it, okay?
No
So
creo para nada
he does not believe in any way
rechazo
and he refuses to accept that version that corruption is part of the culture in Mexico. I do not accept that. I totally refuse to accept that. I believe that is absurd because in our people, and I've always said, there's a great reserve of values, cultural values. The problem was created above. The bad example was given from the top officials. And that's why we need to end corruption from the top to the bottom. Just as you would sweep some stairs. That's another difference that we have with conservatism. You know what they used to do? They would only talk about the bribes. Even they used to ask people. They used to leave little cards with little signaling or identifying inside the card to see to what extent of corruption of a country. Oh, they used to leave a wallet with money in it to see what would happen. So, you know, they would leave it like where a telephone booth. How many would call and would give the return the wallet, and they would say this country is more corrupt than this other one. But on the top, they weren't measuring it. The corruption. So they only measured it on the bottom. Only the bribes. Not these other horrible things they did. And what is certain is that major corruption is the one that is done above. The complicity of the political powers, the looting they permitted. Imagine to modify the laws in order to be able to steal. And it would happen during the night, all these things. And I am going to continue to say it. 25 years that they considered corruption was not actually a crime that was grave. And that you could come out with some kind of a bail. Well, that's how it used to be. Now, everything has to change, and everybody's got to act right, starting at the beginning, at the top. And that's why we have to be still even more energetic with the ones on top, in order to give an example from above, not this behavior of today. I'm going to perforate a duct, and I'm going to steal some gas from a duct with a clandestine connection, because everybody steals anyway. Well, why not me? Look how these political people are living. They have all these attentions and these privileges. And me? I'm in poverty. I have nothing. So that's why there is none of that. None of that justification. If they don't steal on the top, and you also should not steal on the bottom. So therefore, the laws that are necessary for that reason, So if we are converting in crime, a grave crime, the theft of combustibles or gas, and we're making it a crime in corruption, then it also a crime. Manufacturing for the fiscal, and I'm letting you know right now, that's the attorneys. As of now, they begin with a period of legislation, the ordinary period. I'm going to send an initiative to reform Article 28 of the Constitution, and that it be that they remove the right to condone taxes. That needs to be eliminated from the Constitution. As it is, let it be established that it is prohibited that they condone taxes, so that they can stop abusing that they used to commit before. We're going to end with you, because we already have 6.
Buenos días, señor presidente. Buenos días a todos. Buenos días a todos y a todas. Silvia Diana, de Intelectua, canal alternativo. Señor presidente, en el rubro de la salud,
in the situation with health, I have 4 questions.
Bueno, dejémosla en 3 y la cuarta de filo.
Okay. One.
¿Podría ser
Could it
que
be
la
that
odontología llegara
autology
a todo el sector
would go to the whole sector of the population due to well-being? Odontología. A lot of time that we haven't had odontology in all the sectors of population, especially in the most impoverished. The population between 30 and 60-year-olds that are incapacitated, they have a lot of problems if they're going to that situation of health. They have to buy orthopedics. They have no discounts. They have to buy special creams, special medications, and many things. And a lot of people that are truly need the help. And number 3, is there a way that there can exist a special program for transporting regarding the incapacitated? Why am I referring to this? Because there's people that cannot be going urban. They need taxis, and taxis do not give discounts. And buses, some of them do have a discount, but not all of them. And the airlines, let's not even talk about them, because they've only given not given a discount for incapacitated. Is it possible to, with all the things that all of you said, that they could, with all the questions of the newspaper people and all the people that participate here, because there's a lot of people that exist that do not read the system of signals, and they want to participate, and they want to be active in all the conferences, and they cannot. That's all of it. On the last part, in the acts, it's already happening. Well,
no se hace. Solamente el sistema de señas,
the
cuando es en
sign
YouTube,
signals,
entonces sí.
then they do.
Lo vemos.
Sí, en la
Okay,
televisión
we'll look at
no
that.
hay.
Oh, in TV, they do not have what do you call it about?
Sí, lo vemos.
Okay,
Lo vemos.
check to see if there's no translation with
transporte, serían programas
sign language. So transporting special programs, we're going to realize that, or can, and to amplify the age, we are starting with the youth that are poor and impoverished. That means a million. That's the commitment that we have. And in the meantime, as we have more budget, we're going to amplify it. And if they're also making exceptions, but it means older people that is very humble and very needy, and we do make exceptions. However, on the first phase, it's children, poor people, impoverished. It's a million of pensions this year. I'm hopeful that it will go well for us. And there's three things: what we save by not permitting corruption, and what we save by not permitting luxuries in government with the plan of austerity, Republican. And the third, that as economy grows, the measure as it grows, we're going to, without having erased the taxes, because there's going to be more money, we're going to have more collection funds, and so we'll have resources. And this also implies that I expect that we recover the production of petroleum, and that we will have excess of petroleum. Within some time, petroleum was fundamental to the budget. In fact, it was 40% of the budget. So whatever came in from the petroleum was, and that was declining in this last period. But we are trying to increase the production. And regarding the specialties, when it comes to medical attention and oncology, it's the same. We're soliciting hospitals, or I've been visiting hospitals, and there is some, but not in all of them. Yes, we need personnel. Yes, we do. What I'm finding is that we need specialists, like hospitals, in the hospitals. And you cover, sometimes they cover one turn or one shift. Like a cardiologist, and he'll only be there till 4 in the afternoon. And then the afternoon time, there is nobody in hospitals, and also on weekends. So we're working on these things. But also we don't have in the hospitals, in the rural area where they attend the poor people, we don't have the specialties. So we are working on this to fortify the medicine that's preventive, that we have attention from the federal medical unions and these services. It's going to depend also of the resources, and I expect that we are going to better it a lot in all these services that are educational and health. That's the purpose, that they're priorities that we have. And see you tomorrow. Okay, so it ended. All right, you guys, it's over. Please like and subscribe. We're doing really good, and I'm really grateful. And I answer anybody that leaves a comment, so please leave me comments. Thanks. Bye.